Okay, let's go to the second part of the measurement. We have to measure for the manhole. You can start referring to your SMM under clause B.6. Can you refer to B.6? The concept of the measurement are similar with the concept of measurement for the sum. Okay, so if you refer back to V.6.1, each shall be grouped together and given detail under appropriate heading. The word appropriate heading is referring to the actual section in the SMM. Okay, section A, section B, that is appropriate heading, and according to the detail that you can see in the section view. Okay. The example given by SMM here is, if you find there are excavation, what clause we have to refer? Section D. Concrete work, section F. Brick work, section G. Let's say plaster work, section S. So that is the meaning of under appropriate heading. Okay, under appropriate section. This one also have been stated under V.6.3. There are a few exceptions of the item that you have to measure only based on section V.6, but the rest, other than what has been stated under V.6, you have to refer to appropriate heading. Okay, you can see the example here. Let's say I zoom in this detail. But you can see from the first one, let's say if you would like to identify the item to be measured, the first item that you have to measure for the manhole, definitely excavation. So what kind of excavation that you have to measure? Pit excavation, right? Because logically, the manhole is in cuboidal. Okay, cuboidal. So you have to measure the pit. After you measure the pit excavation, you have to measure disposal. And you have to check whether is there any filling. In this case, there will be no filling item. Number 3, you have to look at what is below that. They say this is concrete bed. So under section F, you have to measure concrete bed. Once you have the concrete that is in situ, you should know that you have to measure formwork. So that is item number 4. Item number 5, you have to measure for reinforcement, or in this case, is given as fabric. So we take this one that we have to measure. Logically, to prepare the guideline for the item to be measured, of course, the first one, you have to know the knowledge of excavation. Number 2, we just have to follow what can be seen in the drawing. For example, maybe excavation, disposal, and filling you cannot see, but the rest of the item, like the concrete bed, this is the first one, formwork and reinforcement, you can see in detail. Okay, after that you can see the brick wall. So this is number 4. After that you can see maybe they are stepped here. So that is number 5. Here they are lintel. So that is number 6. Okay, we follow one by one. You can see here there are 2 lines on the surfaces of your brick wall. So they are plastering. So item number 7, something like that. Okay, and then here you can see that they are pipe work. So you have to measure under item number 8. This one you can see benching, so item number 9. Is there any surface finishes for the benching? So that one, item number 10. Okay, so that is how you identify the item that you have to measure. From this example, this is the example for the concrete bed to pipe under class A that you can see in the R. Charlie books or Oliver H. Seeley construction technology. To recap, so you can see here in the 3D view that there are concrete haunching around the pipe. Look at this concrete haunching, and then there are pipe embedded on the concrete. This is your concrete work, and then here you can see the fiberboard. So you have to measure this one. Selected earthbed fields, you have to measure as well. What you can see from the 3D view, you have to measure separately. Okay, this is another view. For the cutaway sectional view for the manhole, there are pipe work come from this point, from another point. So this is under the pipe work. And from the layout plan, you can see the thickness of the brick wall. So the brick wall has to be measured under section G. From the cross section, you can see the detail of the concrete bed, the benching, the pipe work, the lintel, and so on, until you get the manhole cover. So all items have to be measured in detail. What I would like to highlight here is, can all of you refer to item number V.6.5? Okay, only item in V.6.5 and another clause is V.6.4 has to be measured according to section V. The rest of the item like excavation, concrete work, you have to measure in accordance to appropriate section in SMM. Okay, what are the components under V.6.5? As we look at in detail, you can open your SMM. Number one, channel. Okay, so I put one by one. V.6.5. You can refer to your SMM. Number one, you can see the word channel. So channel here are referring to the pipe work. Okay, so the pipe work is number one. You have to measure in number. This is in contrast with the pipe work in your trench excavation, in your underground pipe. This is only the pipe inside the manhole. Remember, pipe inside the manhole must be measured in number only. Logically, normal basic design, one manhole only have one pipe. But if you look at this design, you have how many pipes? 1, 2, and 3 pipes. Okay, this is the outlet of the pipe. Okay, so the pipe work has to be measured in number. Okay, item number 2 under V.6.5, you can see the word benching. Benching must be measured also in number. Okay, so here how many number of benching? 1 and 2. So 2 benching. Number three, you have step iron. So let's say here they are step iron. Item number 3, step iron must be measured also in number. Normally what you are given in the detail is, you are given the detail of center to center. Maybe they give you R16 dash maybe 250. So you should know that every 250 they are step iron. Normally step iron are made from mild steel or high tensile bar. It is just simple bar reinforcement, not the reinforcement that you can see in your staircase measurement. Okay, and then another one, item number 4, you can see SMM use the word cover. So the manhole cover also must be measured in number. Intersecting traps. Let's say you have the trap here, you also have to be measured this item in number. Okay, look at the second line in your SMM, shall be enumerated separately. Enumerated means all these items has to be measured in number. Okay, what you have to state, the type, the quality, the size, and the method of bedding and fixing. How you want to install the cover, how you want to install the step, how you want to install the channel, the benching, and so on. Okay, and the next item that you have to refer, maybe I refer back to this thing. Okay, I refer to this drawing. V.6.4 is also the clause that you have to refer. Measure building in ends of the pipe. Building in ends of pipe. Okay, this one means the outlet that you have to do for basically for that particular manhole. Okay, look at this example. You have one outlet here and you have one outlet here. So basically for manhole number 1, you have only one building to the ends of the pipe. But if you have manhole number 2, let's say this is manhole number 1, only one outlet, right? To go to manhole number 2, let's say this is manhole number 2. So you have one outlet and here 2 outlets. Building in the ends of the pipe means you have to maybe hack and provide the space so that you can install the pipe pass through the brick wall. So this one also has to be measured in number. Okay, shall be enumerated, stating the nominal size of the pipe. You can refer to V.6.4. So from that, you have to prepare taking off list. That's why if you look at my example here, this one are made according to normal design for the manhole. We have pit excavation, disposal of surface water, blinding, concrete, all depending on the detail. Okay, you can double check and you can check if all these information are available in your drawing, you have to measure. Remember, concrete benching, measure in number. Script in benching, you have to refer to section S. Steel, this one is referring to the step iron V.6.5. And then here, number 11, this one also referring to cover, also V.6.5. Item number 18, this one is for the pipe work, but you have the additional item for the pipe fitting, that is band. Where you have band, if you have the manhole here, and this is another manhole, let's say this is MH1, this is MH2. In order for you to go to MH2, the pipe has to go through this particular band. So that one has to be measured separately under extra over. Item number 20. Sorry, where's my pen? Okay, so this is item number 20. Also another example, half round VCP pipe, also measured in number under V.6.5. Pipe seat fitting, this one if any, building to the end of the pipe, also measure in number. Okay, so what you have to prepare is truly according to the detail that you can see. Okay, this is another example. This is another example where you can see the step, you can see the landing slab in between, you can see the benching. Here, can you see? Left and right benching. You have the handhole. So this is where you have step construction of the manhole. That's why you have the landing slab. So this one has the cover, the grating that can be covered. You have the reducing slab. This is more complicated design. Okay, so on the top only you have the cover. This is where you have 1, 2, 3 step manhole. Okay, your drawing, you can refer to drawing number 23. So from this drawing number 23, definitely in the first one you have to measure is speed excavation. Then after that you can see the detail of the concrete foundation have been given. Once you have given with this detail, you should know that this is in situ concrete. So you should have formwork and concrete work. But there is no detail of the bar reinforcement. So there will be no bar reinforcement here in concrete. Then you can see they are benching have to be measured in number. Work has to be measured in number. Then the depth for the brick wall you have to measure in varies because every single manhole has their own depth. And then for this one you can see the step have been given. Okay, malleable cast step iron, and then they are given the brick wall, so you have to measure the brick wall. You can see the rendering. What is the meaning of rendering? HA means high alumina cement. HA, this is the specification for the cement, high alumina cement rendering. So that means we have to measure the plastering here on the surfaces. And here you can see the concrete slab, the detail of the concrete slab. And inside the concrete slab, you can see the bar reinforcement. The shape for the bar reinforcement, if you cannot remember, you can refer back to measurement for the staircase. Lecture number 1. What are the formula that need to be used if you have the design of the bar reinforcement like this? They are formula for the band 12D or 9D. Okay, and then once you have the in situ concrete lintel, definitely you should measure the formwork. Okay, you have to measure the formwork and the bar reinforcement. Then the last one is the cover. So basically that is how you prepare taking off list. Okay, the next lecture only show you how you want to write down the description, and this one made according to the previous measurement in your measurement 1. For example, in excavation, how you want to write down the description. And then don't forget, if you prepare the measurement for the some manhole or any manhole, any access point, you have to refer back to section in section V, V.6.1. Look at the last sentence. Look at the last sentence. Some manhole and such like shall be given and grouped together under an appropriate heading stating the number. Okay, so under appropriate heading setting number, before you start any measurement for the manhole or some or any access point, you have to make sure that down here the following in how many numbers of your manhole. In your case, you have 3 numbers, so in the following in 3 numbers of manhole, then only you start up your measurement. This is the recap that you can see in your measurement number 1, how to prepare taking off quantities for the pit excavation. Okay. Unit of measurement is meter cube, and the disposal of excavated material. If you have blinding, you have to measure in meter square. If you have concrete blinding, you have to measure in meter cube. This is the example. Okay, meter square according to D.32, and this is the example if you have the blinding that is made from concrete. This is different because the unit of measurement is meter cube. Okay, this is also example. If you need to measure for the concrete base, measure in meter cube, we have to refer to appropriate heading F12.1 plus F13.8. There are two clauses that you have to refer because F13.8 asks you to refer to F12.1. Okay, after that, the example given for the measurement for the brick wall, you can refer that we have the brick wall used as foundation that clearly stated under G.1.1a. G.1.1a. Brick wall as foundation. And what need to be stated, you can refer to G.3.3a, and then the category is under G.3.1. Okay, when you have the brick wall, you have to measure brick wall under section G. After that, if you see the word rendering or if you see the word plastering, this term are similar. Plastering, rendering, this one are referring to the finishes. Okay, finishes on what surfaces you have to measure under section S. This one have been taught in measurement for the floor finishes, wall finishes, and staircase finishes. Same concept, meter square. Right, for the formwork, what normally you can see for the formwork, normally for the concrete bed, if you have the concrete bed, and this one example for the suspended slab and the surrounding area of your manhole cover, you have to measure under concrete bed or upper floor slab. Okay, this one under F.12.5, you have the concrete slab, you have to measure for the formwork. This is the example, F.12.5, under edge of the suspended cover slab. Soffit of the suspended cover slab also have to be measured separately. And then to the edges of the concrete bed, this one has to be measured separately under F.11. This the last one. That one cannot be seen, but you can see in the detail. F.11.1 in meter. Okay, another example, when you see there are reinforcement, this is the example of the bar reinforcement. Sorry, this is the example of the fabric reinforcement. You have to measure in meter square. After that, we have VRC, vibrator reinforced concrete for the cover slab. This one, if any. Okay, this is the example for the vibrator cover slab. You can see there are holes for the manhole cover. This is the example for the precast. So if precast, we have to measure in number, but this is the example where you have to measure in situ. In situ, VRC. Okay. After that, I also give you the example on how to write down the description for the benching. You can see here example of the benching. You have to normally state the size, the height, and the width. Normally the extreme size. For example, let's say this is the pipe work or benching is the width and the height, maximum height only. Because this one truly based on the half round channel. So what you need to write down, the size is the width and the height of the benching. Okay, the length is truly based on the size of your manhole. Right, after that, the example where you have the script to the benching. This is also sometimes referring to the rendering. So, for example, let's say something like this. Just now, I showed you they are rendering to the sides of your brick wall. So, rendering or script on the benching has to be measured separately because the surfaces are different. That one also have been stated under section S. The nature of the surfaces must be stated. Let's say you have the plastering to the surfaces of the wall and plastering on the surfaces of the concrete. Two different items because the nature of the surfaces are different. Okay, this is the example of the description. After that, you can see example of the description for the step item. Okay, basically how you want to measure this. Let's say I draw again. This is your, sorry, this is your cross section. Okay, how you want to measure? Okay, for manhole number 1, for example, you can get the actual depth until the invert level, right? So ground level, deduct invert level for that particular manhole, get the depth divided with spacing. So manhole number 2, maybe the depth is different because manhole number 2, the actual depth is different. So what you need to do, you have to take the actual depth for manhole number 2 and divide it with the spacing. Then you get the number. Remember, this one is under V.6.5, enumerated, measure in number. This is the example. So look at this rule. Each manhole have different of the manhole. So what you have to do, please check the actual depth before you divide with the spacing. Okay, ground level divide invert level and divide with the spacing. After that, we have to measure this one again under the same clause, V.6.5 in number. Okay, look at the example of the description. If you did not know what are the details, please refer to the specification notes, either notes or you can see the label. Labeling here also referring to the hatching. Okay, this is a recap. V.6.5 measure in number, setting the type, the quality, the size and method of bedding. This is for. So the size has been set here. The quality, maybe the material or maybe the grading, maybe the reference of the manufacturer detail, which is standard, and how you want to install, method of bedding and fixing, including the setting of the frame with the cement and sand specified. That's why if you have the manhole cover, it is not easily open. You have to fix with the cement and sand to cover. Okay, so that is the method of fixing. We also have the example of the pipe channel here, same clause, measure in number in contrast with the measurement for the underground drainage. If you have the pipe inside the manhole, you only have to measure in number. This is the example. We have to write down the size, so we have to write down the length. This one based on the length of your manhole. Okay, the length of your manhole. If I draw in 3D, this is the length. And then what is the diameter, the size of the pipe? If you have different size of the pipe for a different manhole, definitely you have to measure the pipe channel separately according to the size. Okay, so look at the first and the second one. The difference is, number one is 100 mm diameter, the second one is 150 mm diameter. That's why if they are corner or they are possibility that the building having, sorry, not building, the pipe is different in terms of the position in the layout plan. So there are possibility that you have to measure for pipe fitting. Okay, so pipe fitting has to be measured also in number as extra over. This is the basic rule, also have been stated under Q point 6.1. Basic rule for the pipe work under mechanical and electrical measurement, M&E work. Okay, building to the end of the pipe. Okay, this is the building on the end of the pipe, as what I did mention. Let's say this is your manhole. You need to have one manhole here to connect between another manhole. So this is the meaning of building to the end of the pipe. Measure in number. You have to state the nominal size of the connected to that particular manhole. Let's say for manhole number 1, you receive the pipe that is 150 mm. Manhole number 1 to manhole, sorry, this is manhole number 1. To manhole number 2, maybe the pipe is different, 200 mm diameter. So that one must be clearly stated. Okay. This is the example of the description leading to the end of the pipe. So when you measure for all, this is what you have to write down under underground drainage. But because this item is also need to be measured in the measurement for the sum, we have to mention according to V.7. Connection to the local authority or public undertaking means shall be given in provisional sum. So the unit of measurement provisional sum, no measurement need to be carried out. You only have to write down the description. Okay, this is the example on how you want to write down the description. Provide a provisional sum for the connection of the drain to sewer to be connected out by local authority. So just write down the description again. The difference between V.7.1 and V.7.2 is the second one is for existing work. So if this one is for existing work, you have to measure by setting the number of the connection. For example, you have one item. If you look at your detail, you have existing manhole number 9. Okay, so there will be one connection to the existing manhole. In your layout plan, you can refer back to drawing number 20. And of course, the last one is testing. Okay, so for the testing under section V.8, you have to measure as item. No measurement need to be carried out other than writing the description by setting the method of testing. If this testing method is not being stated, we can write down testing the whole drainage system as directed by the local authority and also the architects or SO requirement. Architect is for private project and SO is for government project, superintending officer. Okay, so that will be the end of the measurement for the sewerage system part 2. Okay, this testing must be added into both manhole and also underground drainage. So we have 2 measurements that need to be carried out. So you can proceed to studio work. This one is not studio number 7. This one is supposed to be studio number. And with number 10, you can divide the task into 2. Number 1, one group has to prepare measurement for the underground drainage. One group has to prepare measurement for the mole in detail. And this one must be done in the big group. So at the end, I would like to see the BQ is being prepared according to all these particular measurement. So the BQ must be separated, one BQ for the underground drainage, another BQ for manhole. Okay, so with that, thank you very much. We have 2 parts for the measurement for the sewerage system. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and thank you everyone.